Hi, welcome back to Inclusivity Podcast, episode 12, where we invite you to listen with a cup of tea. I am your host, Leah, and I will be co-hosting today with Dana. Our other co-host, Lori, is not with us today, but we have our guest, Ty Russian, journalist and filmmaker. But before we get started, we would like to recognize our podcast partners, Black Iowa News and Alliance for Sustainability. We invite you to follow our partners on Facebook. And if you enjoy the podcast, please stop what you're doing, like, listen, and share, and join our Facebook group, Inclusivity Collaborative, where we share more tips and stories on sustainable living. So, good morning, Ty. How are you doing today?
Morning. I'm doing well. Sun is shining. I'm alive. I got coffee. We all good.
All right. Coffee starts your day. And how's Dana doing today?
Fantastic. Couldn't be better.
Awesome. Well, I am excited to dig into this with Ty. Ty, we would like to share with our listeners a little bit about who you are. Can you tell us the different news organizations you have worked for in Iowa?
Woo! Okay, so going back to 2013, I started at the Newton Daily News. While I was there, they acquired the Prairie City News and the Jasper County Tribune. So I also wrote for those papers as well. And then I left to go work for the Northwest Iowa Review. And at the Northwest Iowa Review, it was part of Iowa Information. So I also wrote for the Sheldon Mail Sun. Then they acquired the Sioux Center News while I was there. So I was in all of those papers as well. And then when I left the Review, I went to the Sioux City Journal where I was a business reporter. Then I went back to Iowa Information / the Review to be the managing editor. And when I was a managing editor, I wrote for the Review, the Mail Sun, the Sioux Center News, and then we purchased the Haywarden paper. So I wrote for the Haywarden Independent / Ireton Examiner as well, and then did some stuff for the magazines, including Okoboji magazine, and helped oversee the website, NorthwestIowa.com. And then I took a quick 6-month venture to corporate communications. It was lovely, but I got suckered back into journalism, and now I'm the current senior editor for Iowa Starting Line. So that's my journey since 2013 here in Iowa.
We're back. Okay.
Where are you from, Ty?
Kansas City, Kansas.
Kansas City, Kansas. Okay.
Yep.
So what's it like living in Iowa? What's your experience been here?
I mean, I'm used to it now because I've been here for so long. But it was a definite adjustment when I first came here. I didn't know I was going to be able to get my hair cut up here. And my haircut isn't fresh right now, but it's getting done tomorrow. All right. So I know people are going to be looking like, well, you don't get your hair cut anyway. That's not true. All right. I'm on a 2-week schedule with my barber, and my 2 weeks is tomorrow. So, but yeah, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get my hair cut up here because I had no, it was very interesting because I didn't know Black people was there. And honestly, that's the conception that a lot of people who aren't from Iowa have. We're like, there's Black people in Iowa? What? But it's we everywhere. We forget that sometimes. And so I thought I was gonna be the only Black person. I knew it was gonna be white people in corn. That's it. I had never spent a night in Iowa until I got my first job opportunity. And I took it sight unseen because I'm I'm fresh out of school, and this is an opportunity to do what I love for a living. So I hopped on it. And so, yeah, I was just like, whatever, I'm going wherever I got to go for an opportunity. I thought I was going to be here maybe, 2 years at the most, get that experience, move up. And then I joked about it yesterday on socials, every time an opportunity outside of Iowa comes up, the state of Iowa's like, no, where you going? Here's an opportunity here. And it's oh, well, that's a pretty good opportunity too. So I'll take that. And so because of that, I've been in central Iowa, Northwest Iowa, back to central Iowa. I mean, lived in small towns, bigger towns. It's been a wide array. And so the small town stuff has been interesting.
It is.
How so?
Well, so I'm coming from Kansas City. The Kansas City metro area has about 2 million people, bigger city, a lot of stuff, NFL teams, things like that. And then you go to smaller town Iowa, and it's different. You get to understand like the small town mindset. You get to understand why supporting local is so important. You get to understand why everybody's rooting for the public school team. Things like that. Like you honestly get a better sense of community, I've found.
And stairs, right?
Oh, well, here's the thing. I'm 6'3" and I'm black. So like, but the thing is, like, you gotta own it. Like, I own it.
Well,
Like,
well, I'm only 5'2", and I swear,
I know. But like, I'm a big black man walking into these rural areas, and you just gotta own it. You just gotta be like, yep, that's me. Like, the funniest stuff would be when I set up a farm assignment, and I set it up on the phone, and then I show up to the farm, and they're like, "You're Ty?" I'm like, "Yep." Now let's talk about these beans. So what's going on here? How's the drought doing this? And so yeah, I've learned a lot about agriculture living in Iowa. I had never been to a farm until I moved to Iowa, and now I have like a pair of boots that I use for ag assignments.
You
like,
gotta.
Yeah.
Do I gotta drag you on the farm, Ty? Like, that's how I got.
Right?
But that's how I got here when you talk about it.
Yeah.
Which leads me into this. Like, so why does someone with your talent want to be in Iowa?
Like I said, opportunities. I mean, like, I literally keep getting great opportunities here, and I feel like I've been able to make a difference with my voice, like with my reporting, with my voice, like being outspoken, not being shy about who I am and where I come from, but also not being a person who's intolerant of, understanding other people's lifestyles. So like, you get some people who come from bigger communities and they go to a rural community and they're like, oh, what is this? Like, and they expect everything, they try to tell people that they're living their lifestyle wrong or everything they do isn't right. And that's not the case. I'm a very open-minded person. So like, I'm going to go into your community and I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to, ingratiate myself into it. Like, I'm going to be a part of it. Like, and that's so, like I said, that community aspect is so important to me. And so like, developing those senses of community, making friends here, getting great job opportunities. Like I said, Iowa won't let me go. Like, it's kind of hilarious how that works out. I mean, I've been able to do some great stuff here. We got more stuff on the horizon. So it keeps working out for me. Like, I have no idea why or how. It just did.
So is it fair to say that you seek to understand people and that helps you to be more accommodating of how do I not necessarily fit in, but how do I know I belong here?
I mean, I'm gonna be myself. Like,
okay.
I'm gonna be myself. And people just happen to like who I am.
And that's a good thing. Congratulations. We understand that you are the president of Iowa Association Black Journalists.
Yes.
And so the big question is, why do you think we need an association for Black journalists?
Well, so, all right, when I moved, I've never worked in an Iowa newsroom with another Black journalist. Never. I call myself the Jackie Robinson of Iowa newspapers because all those papers I mentioned earlier, I was the first Black writer for them. And then in some of them, I became the first Black editor for them. So, and it's wild. I mean, we're talking about in the 2000s, like, not the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 50s, or whatever. And so, representation is important in all forms. We all know that. And so, like, I really didn't feel like we had that kind of statewide representation here. Like, yeah, there are Black people in the media here. Like, Dana's been doing it for a long time here. She's an OG on the scene. Like,
she is.
You know what I'm saying? She's been putting in the works, like, and putting the groundwork in for the rest of us to walk.
Yes.
And so, having her here has been like great. Like, I mean, I love following Black Iowa News. Shout out to Dana, like that.
Shout out.
And so, but I want the next generations to know that, hey, there's an opportunity here for you. And then I want because like so many of us like come from out of state and we have no idea about resources or what's available. Like, and so like, with this organization, we can reach out to them and say, hey, you got family here, you got community here. We had a couple of new members show up to our last meeting, including one I DM'd like, hey, I see you're new to the state.
Right.
I'm a member of the Iowa Association of Black Journalists. You want to get involved, that's cool. Like, if not, just show up, notice you got support, notice you got family here, we got your back, whatever. And she showed up, she was happy, and she was like so pleased that I reached out to her. And I was like, that's dope as hell. Cause like when I came here, I didn't know a single soul in the state, let alone any Black people in media. So like, the fact that we have this, that's incredible. I mean, like I love speaking to class. Oh, excuse me. I love speaking to classes and students. And last year, I spoke to a senior seminar class for journalism students at the University of Northern Iowa, and it was two Black students in that class.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, one of them emailed me. He's since graduated, but he's like, hearing you speak to us, like that really moved me and that motivated me, and I was glad to see it and like to hear about how your accomplishments and the things you've done, and that like had your boy ready to cry because that's why I do it. Like
Exactly.
I want all youth to like get inspired to get that next generation of journalism, but like when I can really do it for like people that look like me too, like and, like,
Yep.
resonate with them, it hits even harder.
It helps with the representation that helping it. And like you said, shout out to Dana, having a group that you identify with help you bring along, like you mentioned earlier, jokingly, but it's serious. How can I find somewhere to do my hair? Where do I find the things that I know floats with me? I remember a teacher telling me they did this test and it went through how many stores that they have to go to get everything they need. And so, of course, the white guy tapped out at 8. Everything he got was at one store. And then when it got all the way down, I think it was a Latino woman who was like the last to the Black man in the room. Because when you think about when we need our stuff, we can't just go do a one shop for all at Hy-Vee. We got to go to Hy-Vee. Then we got to go hit up Target and then the other places that have products that we're more in common to. I used to always just go to North Carolina and bring back all of my stuff and then online, but now I would go take a picture in Target. I'm not ashamed of the availability. Yeah. Cause we went from this little narrow aisle and then it just went boom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
I get it. Like when I used to make, go back home to Kansas City, I would stock up on do-rags and wave caps. Like,
yeah.
Like
look, used to bring my own hot sauce back. Hate to sound like that, but and it broke because I'm used to Texas Pete hot sauces made in Winston, and that thing broke on me at the airport, and I cried because there was no way to bring my stuff. Which
I get it.
Man, so like when you talked about the representation and having the students, is that what led you to being also a filmmaker? I love watching your film and how you tied in the different areas of Iowa, showing the community and the things that each person faced in there. And how did you get the idea for telling our own story and ending racism?
So I got to give all credit to Iowa PBS for this was them. This was them. So in fall 2020, Iowa PBS reached out to Black Iowans about I forgot the number now, but they reached out to Black Iowans, including me, and they were trying to they were working on this film project for Juneteenth for June 2022 because they were time into it. So they were working 2 years ahead of the game just to make sure that we were properly represented. And they wanted Black filmmakers to tell these stories, but they also wanted to figure out, okay, which 4 topics should we narrow it down to? And so I was like, one of the pre-interviews for that. And then in spring 2021, they came back around and they were like, hey, would you be interested in making one of these films? And I'm like, y'all know I ain't never made a movie before, right?
I couldn't tell. I could not tell at all.
They were like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, all right. And then they're like, write your pitch out, come on with your idea and send it to us. So my idea is like, they actually let me pick which topic I wanted to go for. And I chose racism, which, a very, very broad and difficult topic, but like I had a vision in mind. I wanted to do a road trip. Like I wanted to go to different parts of Iowa and talk to Black Iowans and, see what they're doing in their communities. And as I noted in the film, obviously it's not on Black people in racism, but again, it's something we pick up the fight for. We still go for it. We still try to tackle it, even though again, it's hard to, when you're the oppressed to be like, let me get the oppressor to stop oppressing me. Like that's pretty
right.
Much. But so I gave this pitch. I had about 15 different people across Iowa that I thought could be potentially good interview subjects. And most of them wound up in the film, Some of them they're not. Like some people were like, "What are you talking about?" Like some are like, "Let me call you back." Some never called me back. One person I had in mind from lived in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area. Like I could not get a hold of her directly. I called her. I ended up finding her husband's cell phone. I called him. Was like, "Hey, did you get the message to her?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll get back. I'll get her back to you." And then she never called me back, so she, never got to be a part of it. One person in Dubuque asked his secretary. And then it was just wild. Like it was just like so many behind the scenes, struggles trying to get sourcing, but it all worked out, and it all worked out well because like the people we got in the film were incredible. I mean, and then like I was glad to get representation from all across the state. I mean, we got Waterloo, which is our
Right.
capital. We got Des Moines, which that's where our biggest population base is.
Right.
Capital, then it's Waterloo. Then I got Dubuque in there. Dubuque has a history of extreme racism, so it was important
Yes.
in there. And then Sioux City was where I was at, and I spent most of my time in Iowa's been in Western Iowa, and so Sioux City's been very important to me, great community for me, a great home for me. So like I wanted to make sure Sioux City was represented as well. I even have some people in mind in more rural parts of Northwest Iowa, but the one dude I want to talk to who lived in Orange City moved to Minnesota. And I was like, dang, because like, could you imagine getting the perspective from a Black man living in Orange City? Like that would have been pretty damn good. I mean, I had a little bit of my Sheldon perspective in there, but like having a guy who was in Orange City, I think he would have been a wonderful subject for the film as well. But again, like I said, everybody didn't work out that I wanted to get for it. But like, I mean, I'm very proud of what we were able to do in 26 minutes.
I could not tell, Ty. Like I was just so like, wow, because a lot of the people you had in there, can't remember, it's a young lady with was running for a political office and has Nia. I met her or seen her before at the Iowa Uni Coalition that I'm a part of. So getting to hear her story, the young woman that was 16 years old, and I saw her stories and stuff. Being able to see like people I've met in person, even like Jalen, and on top of you had a mother and a daughter.
Yeah, please.
Not to tell the whole film, because I think people should go and check it out on YouTube. It's still.
This is gonna shock some of you, but here it is. There are some people who don't believe there are Black people in Iowa.
Out on YouTube, it's still available, but just watching it and your question, how to end racism, because that has been on the forethought of everybody's minds. And sometimes we talk stuff to death and we don't really ever come up with a real solution. And the solution won't happen by those who look like us. It has to be a united front.
Yeah, and that was the central thesis of the film, is like, how do we answer this question? And so like, and I think the film, like, we don't want to give out spoilers, but like you check it out and you kind of see, what will,
what is there. Which exactly.
Yep.
So Ty, tell us a little bit about what's next. You kind of hinted something about something on the horizon. What is it? And give us a sneak peek of what you got coming up next.
Well, like, being the president of the Iowa Association of Black Journalists, like I want to put a lot of work in on this. Like, we had like kind of a wonky website, but I want to get us a true website, and I want to have links to resources on there. Like I want to get a community guide, like, hey, here's where you can go, like, to find Black-owned businesses in this community or this part of the state. Like, here's where you can go to get your hair done. Here's where you can go, if you're looking for a doula. Here's where you can go if you're looking for mental health services. Like, that's like one of my big grand visions for that. I wanted to partner. I got a potential partnership for us with a local business. Like I want to do some more like activities, more professional development things, and more opportunities that way, get more of the student journalists involved. So like I got some lofty ambitions for the organization. So that's going to be a lot of my like spare time efforts. And then I got to write another pitch for Iowa PBS. They're interested in doing another film with me. So
nice.
Yeah. So I gotta work on that pitch, refine it. I was joking with my partner. I was like, we're gonna go lighter this time on subject matter, since it was like the last one was so heavy. So we want to go light, but then we're gonna get back to heavy. Like we're gonna so we want to have a little bit more like one that's like has a little bit more levity to it this time around, but then we'll go back to the serious subject matter. So like that way we can alternate and keep it balanced. Like, you don't want to have that much of a heavy burden on yourself.
What's it been like to writing for, you said Iowa Starting Line, your senior editor there. How's that going? I know you moved to Des Moines pretty recently. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's been going well. I mean, I like one of my favorite things about, writing and working for smaller papers is that, you're more of a general assignment reporter. So, you got to cover everything. Like, even if you have a beat, you're still going to fill in this area or that area. And so, like, the variety of topics you get to write about is like what's fun to me. And so, like, I still get to maintain that as Starting Line, and I get to be a little bit more selective and always consider your coverage area your playground. So, whenever we had new reporters at the Review, which covers Lyon, O'Brien, Osceola, and Sioux counties, I would say consider those 4 counties and those 44 communities within them your playground. You could tell stories from any one of them. Like, think about it that way. You could drive past this and be like, what is that? You know what? Let me go find out and do a story. And so, like, for me, now I got the entire state of Iowa to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I got 99 counties, over 1,000 cities, like over 300 school districts. Like, I can tell stories from them. Like, I can, so like, I'm very excited about doing that. And, I've been taking full advantage of those opportunities as well. We've been doing, obviously we do a lot of political news as well, but like, I've been having fun doing this new stuff called Iowa Weird, where I just write about like weird pieces of Iowa history from the archives, things like that. So yeah, it's been a good job. I mean, and we've been doing a lot of video stuff too. And so that's actually where I got my first, like, working on scripts from, is with the video stuff we've been doing at Iowa Starting Line. So between that and my, writing experience, that helped me write my script for the Iowa PBS film, which again was like my first full-fledged script. But like, It was kind of cool. Like, I remember when I barely got any notes back from the first draft, and I was like, yeah.
Okay, Ty the writer. All right.
I'm
ready.
I just want to say I enjoy working with Ty on the Iowa Association of Black Journalists, and anytime that we've been able to collab on different Zooms and different things that we've been asked to do, it's just really cool to have someone of Ty's stature here working, writing stories, creating. It's really great. And one thing that I really love about the Iowa Association of Black Journalists and working with Ty is that I love the sense of camaraderie and connection that, is being built, because that was really missing for a long time. And I think, in the past, I'll say, some journalists tended to look at each other as competitors instead of collaborators. So that's one thing that I really like that, your generation is doing, and it will really help. It will change things here. And Lord knows what some of the things that happen being a Black journalist in a state like Iowa. It's not all, roses and daffodils sometimes. There's some very serious things that happen to journalists. So I think having an organization and having you lead it with such, vim and vigor will really help, and it'll make a difference for journalists to come.
I love it.
Wow, like, dang, hearing Dana say that kind of stuff about you is like, dang, do you not know who you are, woman? Like, and you giving this kind of praise to me? Like, that is wild.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Like,
Ty, you need to cut it. Dana talks very highly of you. So, all right. And I wanted to tell you, thank you for coming. Finally meeting you in person. I've gotten a chance to be interviewed by you and talk to you, but to meet you in person and not knowing you was going to be this guy that's a giant like my little brother. And I have a photo to share with you later. I do have my nephew who was picking at me because he's 6'8", and he's gonna be a freshman this year at the great college of A&T. And at any rate, but meeting you in person finally, like, you really exude a warmth and a welcome. And it's definitely like Dana mentioned, you need to be able to build communities. And if you want people like ourselves to have representation to come along, it doesn't happen if you have that crab in the bucket mentality. I have found that it's been a challenge sometimes doing that. So I got my little plug on my time, but at any rate, I've appreciated. I like hearing that you had the opportunity with Iowa Public. Is it IPBS? I'm gonna get the acronym wrong.
Yes.
And to be able to do that, like I see Iowa in a different light now. I wasn't, like Dana mentioned, fortunate when I got here. My path is not journalism, but engineering, had its own similarities in not having those connections. But I did it, we didn't have websites and all that kind of stuff. You just kind of met people and like, hey, and a lot of times people would call me. And so I was the one that would tell you this is where the salon is at. This is where you can get these things. And we used to host like our barbecues. But at any rate, wanted to know, what is your model and like, what is your motto?
Yeah, so this is something my pops told me a long time ago, and it's just stuck with me ever since. Don't tell yourself no. Like, let them tell you no. Like, and it's just like, I mean, it's like the same energy as, shooting your shot. Like, like if you see a job that you're interested in, apply for it. Like, worst they can tell you is no. And it's like, it's true. And so just like, yeah, don't tell yourself no. Like, don't talk yourself out of opportunities. Like, go for it. I mean, I moved to this state, not knowing a single soul in here. And now I've been in, the rooms after the baby's been born, holding the newborns, like, because like I built that kind of friendships and relationships here. And so like, it's, yeah, don't tell yourself no and take the risk.
Love it. Love it. That's beautiful.
I love that. Don't tell yourself no. Okay. Well, thank you today for coming, Ty. And thank you to our listeners who are out there listening, where it's on YouTube and Anchor or other popular podcast site. We would like for you to tune in next week when we'll be talking on episode 13. And again, thank you to our partners, Alliance for Sustainability and Black Iowa News, and Ty Russian, journalist and filmmaker. So let's be on the lookout for what's next with him. Thank you, Ty.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks.